in life, vibrant in every atom. O hidden light, shining in every creature. O hidden love, embracing all in oneness. Each who feels himself as one with thee, he is therefore one with every other. Welcome again. So, very good morning to everyone. We have 3 speakers today, and I'll thank Sister Subralina that she has inspired them all. And we have Sister Urvashi Das and Sister Suhani Mahapatra and Brother Vaibhav Patnaik. They are the 3 speakers. So let's welcome our first speaker, Sister Urvashi Das. She is a student of class 12 and has co-authored various books and edited the Indite Excellence magazine, reviewing and content writing head at Profound Writers Association. She is associated with Prayas Theosophical Lodge for last more than a year. She has participated in webinars, group discussions, and has studied theosophic literature. So let's welcome Sister Urvashi.
Thank you so much, Sister Smita Pragya, for such a lovely introduction. A very warm good morning to one and all present here. And our today's topic is self-development through self-sacrifice. The primary purpose of the law of sacrifice is twofold: to test us and to assist us to come unto God. So I would like to begin by explaining the terms self and sacrifice. In theosophical terms, there are 3 types of self: the universal self, the individual self, and the personal self. The universal self is the absolute one with infinite divine principle, or the supreme essence of pure consciousness itself, which is being absolute and infinite. It is therefore of necessity the true essential nature and the highermost part of every being. This higher self is not an ego or an I of any kind. We call it our true self simply because it is our true nature or true essence, the one universal self of all. This is forever eternal, unchanging, and unaffected. The second type of self, the individual self. It is the reincarnating ego, the true I of our being, the permanent individuality, the thinker, the mind, which incarnates, reincarnates, thinks, acts, and create experiences like karma. It is own self-created destiny. And the third type of self is the personal self. It is nothing more than a karmic product, the aggregate of the skandhas carried over in essence or seed from the previous personality in which the ego was incarnated. This is called the present personality, in contrast with the permanent individuality. There is nothing inherently sacred or divine about it. It is merely our own unwitting creation. And to explain about sacrifice, a sacrifice is a loss or something you give up, usually for the sake of a better cause. Now, if we link self and sacrifice, it is all about surrendering the pleasures of the moment for nobler cause. But the thing here to realize is the self you are and the stated law of duty. All lies in the self, and the first step is to realize the law of duty in that self of yours. Law of duty is a man's first truth, which a man must obey if he or she wishes to grow up in the spiritual life. There is no ethical value in a grudging sacrifice of one's own desires while developing the individual. Then self sacrifice improves the life of others. In fact, family, community, society demand that each sacrifices their own needs for their good of others, or anarchy which prevails. In religious terms, self sacrifice is considered necessary at the most mundane level to overcome selfishness and too much attachment to worldly goods, and at the highest level, in laying down one's own life for others as the greatest act of charity. John C. Maxwell stated that the constant among successful leaders is that they have earned their success through sacrifice. There are some applications for the law of sacrifice. First is, it is impossible to succeed without sacrifice. For example, you may give up your 4 years of your life spending thousands of dollars to go to college or to train for your career. And this second application is, sacrifice is a process, not a one off. Even after you are successful, you never get to stop sacrificing. If you do stop sacrificing after you have reached a certain goal, you won't progress anymore. In Bhagavad Gita, it is also mentioned about sacrifice. It says that the world is bound by the actions not done for sake of sacrifice. Hence, for sacrifice, you should act without attachment. In the beginning, along with mankind, Prajapati created sacrifice and said, "By this shall you increase. This shall be the granter of desires. May you foster the gods by this, and may the gods then foster you." Self sacrifice might be a part of our daily lives, and somewhere or the other, we give up our desires of our loved ones and our better self. For some, it might be giving up carbs to have fitness. For students, it might be giving up their playtimes to study for better marks. But as I mentioned earlier, sacrifice is giving up desire for the betterment of world. We become a better version when we see or have a better society. We can't develop ourselves without developing a society. A developed individual comes from a developed society. As somewhere within our daily leisures, we all have forgotten our part or role as a person of the society. This has led to increase in selfishness, which has pushed people to think first for themselves than the one in need. For me, when I travel in my car and the car stops at red light, I find people living on roadsides, helpless. And that gets me thinking that in all the hustle to achieve goal of our life, we all have forgotten the goal of the society, which is to stay and help each other. In my journey of self-development, I began by studying Bhagavad Gita, which gave me my source of direction, that what is my purpose. And I realized that my purpose is to be worthy enough so that I can give back to my society. And in my effort to give back to the society, I am associated with Ashman Foundation, and I have taught about 20 children from slums. And now when I see them reading books by themselves and interacting with me, I can sense the happiness, the joy, which can't be expressed in words. And this made me realize that I am not even at the edge of joy. Still, it has made me such calm and composed. And we all are in an arcade of worldly possessions, which has made hard for us to give up. We think that money brings joy. It has closed us from the eternal happiness. There is no less joy than pouring your heart out and self-surrender. And I would like to end with a quote by Simon Sinek, that great leaders are willing to sacrifice the numbers to save the people. Poor leaders sacrifice the people to save the numbers. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, sister. And your talk was so practical and it was so insightful. And thank you so much. And our next speaker is Brother Vaibhav Patnaik. He has recently appeared his 10th board exams. He is interested in reading spiritual texts, and his hobbies include art and sculptures. He is a member from Ukkal Theosophical Federation and attended international convention at Adyar during his membership year. He has participated in group discussions and symposiums organized by Prayas Theosophical Lodge. So let's welcome Brother Vaibhav Patnaik. Over to you, brother.
Thank you, Sister Smita Pragya. Participate in this symposium where I will talk about such a meaningful topic. This is not for the youth, but for everyone who believes in the power of self and how one can keep doing better. Development is not just a word, it has much essence. Development leads to success, and self development is about rediscovering oneself and keep progressing, moving from lower to higher. For achieving anything higher, one needs to sacrifice his or her petty wishes. Sacrifice has deep effect in one's life. For example, a girl sacrifices her wishes in her childhood. Then she, as a wife, does the same for being dedicated to her in-laws. And as a mother, sacrifices her months of work for taking care of the child. This eternal birth to the holy earth is full of sacrifices. If a human wants to get or attain something, he or she has to give up or sacrifice something. Self sacrifice doesn't just result in self welfare or self goodness, but also helps in mass welfare. If a person wants to lose weight, he or she has to sacrifice the will to eat fast food. This single sacrifice can lead to decrease of spread of diseases that will result in mass welfare. Similarly, when a person is constructing his or own house or a building, he has to sacrifice his luxurious lifestyles that leads to decrease in the unnecessary expenditure of the family. There are four main types of self development: physical, mental, spiritual, and social. Taking a holistic development approach is crucial to see maximum benefits. All these areas are different, but working on one will strengthen the other areas. Physical include exercise, eating healthy, learning a new sport, and mental includes taking classes, reading more, learning to play chess, attending any seminar, etc. Spiritual includes performing self reflection, meditating, understanding one's values and beliefs. A self sacrificing person gives up what they he wants so that other people can have what they want. These people are unselfish, self sacrificing, and sincerely concerned about the general good. The Bhagavad Gita says some offer their wealth as sacrifice, while others offer severe austerities as sacrifice. Some practice the eightfold path of yogic practice, and yet others study the scriptures and cultivate knowledge as sacrifice while observing strict vows. While the Bible says sacrifice is giving to the Lord whatever He requires of our time and our earthly positions and our energies to further His work. Every moment of our life is a sacrifice that we perform in the direction of a higher fulfillment, and a sacrifice is therefore a gain and not a loss. It involves a sharing of one's joy with others. For example, parents sacrifice for their child. The mother cooks for everyone and eats late after everyone is served, in spite of being weak or ill at times. A father stands under a tree waiting for a child at tuition classes on a rainy evening, getting drenched Parents spend their whole life supporting a child if he or she is handicapped, hearing everyone's taunts, expecting nothing in return. In self development, we need to first remove our attention from earning too much money and from getting something that gives us popularity or wealth. We have to follow our passions intensely. So we have to get rid of the luxurious habits that waste time and money. It is the great law of universe. One thing is sacrificed for other, and this other sacrifices itself in its own turn for something else, and thus nature carries on its work. Sacrifice is the price which must be paid for all progress. Sacrifice is enjoyed in every religion as an act of great merit, but it has now degenerated into the sacrifice of animals. The real object of sacrifice was to teach men to give up the best things they loved on earth for the sake of God and their fellow men. And instances are on record where noble men have not hesitated to part with everything dear to them, wealth, children, and even their own lives, for what they thought to be higher objects. The Christians believe that Jesus Christ sacrificed himself for mankind. The noblest are those who sacrifice their own interests for others. Next comes those who will serve others only when their own interests do not clash with theirs. There are a set of people who injure others for their own selfish ends, but the meanest are those who would injure others, though they themselves gain nothing by it. It is very mean to injure others for our own benefits. Blessed are those who have sacrificed themselves to make the whole world free and happy. And if we refer to the law of higher life, we will get to know the basic of laws. Life is preserved not simply by talking, but also by sacrificing which we had already appropriated. It is a mistake to think that we can live and grow simply by appropriation of other forms into our own, simply by the absorption of the life around us that our own may continue to exist. All the world is bound by a law of interdependence. All living things exist in virtue of mutual exchange by the recognition of the fact of mutual interdependence. We can live alone in the world of forms. We cannot preserve our own form by appropriating others without contracting a debt which must be paid by the sacrifice of some of the appropriated object for the maintenance of our lives. Development is not simply about the interaction between humans, it also involves the natural environment. From another point of view, development is about the conversion of natural resources into cultural resources. This conversion has taken place throughout the history of humans, although the process has generally increased with time. Therefore, the environment is both a source and a sink in relation to the economic process. It is a source of raw material and energy and a sink of pollution. It helps enhance strengths, a stress-free life, improve mental health, and even relationships. The man who lives by the law of sacrifice realizes the unity of self and recognizes only a difference in containing vessels and not in indwelling life. Hence, only gathers wisdom and knowledge into his separate vessel for the sake of sharing what he gathers for others and for others. And he loses utterly the sense of a separate life. I would like to conclude with a famous quote by APJ Abdul Kalam: "Let us sacrifice today so that our children can have a better tomorrow." Thank you.
You, Brother Vaibhav. Your talk was so informative, and you have explained very nicely the laws of higher life and laws of sacrifice. Thank you so much. And now our next speaker is Sister Suhani Mahapatra. She has also recently appeared with her 10th board exams. She keeps interest in dancing, public speaking, and is trained classical dancer. She has been associated with Prayas Theosophical Lodge for the past 4 years. She has participated in group discussion and symposium and has also performed ODC for the Theosophical Society on many occasions. Let's welcome Sister Suhani. Over to you.
Thank you so much for the lovely introduction. And today I'm going to be speaking on self-development through self-sacrifice. I would like to start with a quote. Swami Vivekananda once said that self-sacrifice, not self-assertion, is the law of the highest universe. And the title, as the title suggests, we will be discussing as how an individual, when you sacrifice, you develop as well. And I have actually had a direct experience with this because of theosophy. And self-development is something that I have visibly noticed in myself over the past few years with the first-hand experience. And I can say that it comes through self-sacrifice or simply just sacrifice. And it has 5 types or stages, and it is mental, social, spiritual, emotional, and physical. So during the lockdown, I've had a good taste of mental, social, spiritual, emotional self-development. And because the lockdown definitely forced us to shut ourselves indoor, and I personally struggled a lot because in a way I like to think of myself as a social butterfly, and it was in a way hard for me to accept the reality that I have to sit at home and I don't have any human interaction except through people at home, and it was a little bit too quiet for me, to put it in a better way. But I read somewhere that if you can't go outside, then go inside, and that really touched me, and I felt that it was so deep, and I think I kind of understood it to the core what it actually meant. So the lockdown did help me to learn to have fun with myself instead of having fun with other people. And I would say it did come with the price of staying constantly indoors. And although it wouldn't be considered a self-sacrifice, it was a sacrifice in a manner. It wasn't a willing sacrifice. I had to unwillingly stay at home, but it did lead to development in some form. And it was overall an amazing learning, like seeing myself grow in some ways over the lockdown. So I thought it would be a good example to give myself as an example because I saw that. So the word self-development, it suggests that you have to do it yourself. Um, because self means doing it yourself, and development, we know the meaning of development. It's to grow, it's to become into something greater. And so as the word suggests, it's something you have to do yourself, but I would find it a little bit contradicting. I think self-development may also require somewhat of a nudge, which in my case got it from Sabrina Auntie. Thank you so much. And during my Bhagavad Gita talk, I learned so much more about um, development and spiritual self-development. And I found some subtle improvements in my lifestyle, my day-to-day life, like a overall if I take an overall look at my life, it has improved since I did the talk because I learned so much more about life, and I think I've grown a lot since the lockdown because of these talks and these things that Sabrina Auntie has pushed me into and she's encouraged me to do. And I feel that everyone at some point in their life needs to spend time with themselves and need to analyze themselves. Just sitting and analyzing yourself is, I would say, a really, really good way to develop. And now I would like to come down to the self-sacrifice part. So self-sacrifice is something that you do for others. It's for the greater good and for the greater good of the universe and for the other people. So self-development actually gives you a wide perspective about life and the situations you are in, and it actually allows you to understand the concept of self-sacrifice too. So I would say you actually go into a loop, which is a good loop actually, where when you sacrifice, you develop, and when you develop, you are able to understand self-sacrifice in a better way, and you can sacrifice more. So you go into this positive loop where you are doing good things. And it is like very important to understand that, because a lot of people, they feel that self-sacrifice is not a sustainable option, but it helps you develop. Every sacrifice you make helps you develop, because self-sacrifice is a selfless act which only a few people are able to do, and a self-sacrificing person gives up what they want so that other people can have what they want. So a lot of studies actually show that when an individual exercises self-restraint or self-control in one area, then their ability to do so in all capacities is increased. They're noble, generous, self-effacing, helpful, gallant, open-hearted, heroic, unselfish, all of the words. These are what our heroes and fairy tales are made of. But self-sacrifice does not come by saving the damsel in distress stuck in a tower guarded by the evil dragon. It rather would come by small acts of generosity, kindness, and selflessness. And we must learn how to sacrifice to learn the true meaning of it. And Paramahansa Yogananda actually once said that all honest work is good work. It is capable of leading to self-development provided the doer seeks to discover the inherent lessons and makes the most of the potentialities for such growth. And as I said earlier, a lot of people say self-sacrifice is not sustainable, but people actually think of it as when we sacrifice, we lose a part of what we own or what we have. But in truth, we are actually gaining when we are sacrificing, and that's something we all need to understand. We grow with sacrifice. And personally, I wouldn't say that self-sacrifice is the only path to development. It is rather one of the methods of development, and centuries worth of cultural stories suggest that self-sacrifice may be a cornerstone for our moral concepts. Yet the notion is largely absent from the recent theories in moral psychology. For example, I think some of you may have heard about this dilemma or paradox where you are kept on a footbridge and you have two options. You can change the direction of the train, and in one direction it would take away 5 people, and in one direction it would take away 7 people. So a normal human would like the normal human psychology that the studies have seen is that a person would direct the tracks to the people with 5 people on them. But then they introduced a new version, which is called the it's called the it's called the footbridge version. And in the footbridge version, it's that you are on top of a footbridge and there are 2 paths from there, and you can choose one of them. And there is also one other option in that there is, if you push a single man in front of the trolley will stop because it needs a weight to be stopped. So a lot of people choose that the weight should be stopped, but then when put in the situation, they feel that it is inhumane or immoral to actually push someone in front of the trolley. So then another version came out that what if instead of pushing another person, you were to sacrifice yourself to stop the trolley by putting a weight on it? And it's actually really surprising that a lot of people, instead of sacrificing a bystander would actually self-sacrifice at that moment. And the contrast between morally or in one's self-interest, it can be found in like many aspects of cultural beliefs, because self-sacrificial acts are often at the core of many myths and many religious teachings. And self-sacrifice is always associated with heroic acts and stories. And it's also for a specific cause, and self-sacrifice can be a powerful signal for the strength of a moral position. In conclusion, I would like to say that we all must inherit and understand the meaning of the virtue of self-sacrifice, which is nowadays not regarded as much as it should be. For as we develop in today's society, it is not on the self, it is on a whole. Thank you so much, Namaskar, and thank you so much for this opportunity.
Thank you so much, sister. The talk was very simple, and it was. I know that it attracts the kids also. And as yours, those two stories like fairy tales and dragon and all. I am also from. You can see I'm now in my 30s, but still, I am also a kid, and I like these dragon and stories, and I know that this type of how you explained, it is very much understandable by everyone. And thank you so much. Thank you so much for explaining this very nicely. And all our speakers explained about self-sacrifice very nicely and in simplified way. Now, thank you all our speakers and all our participants. Now we were open for discussion. If anybody has any questions or any suggestion for the speakers, now we are open for that.
I want the speakers to explain something more about themselves.
Let's start from our first speaker. She will explain more about herself.
I don't think that, like, even I haven't even explored myself that much to explain myself, because I still have a journey to go. But yeah, after, like, I have almost completed my 12th, and I am in a journey to explore the world, to know the world, because right now what I am facing is that it is not always what we see. Sometimes we have to see the unseen things. Some things we have to make notice of the things that are behind a person. And I am associated with a lovely NGO, Ashman Foundation, and I am blessed to be a part of that, because with that I am able to understand that how much we are saved from, and how much I am grateful for all the things I have. And that, when you get that realization, you automatically know that what you have to do for your society, you know in which direction you have to go in order to give back to the society, in order to be a part of a developed society, as I mentioned in my talk. And yeah, that's pretty much about me.
Sister, brother Vaibhav Patnaik, would you like to add something about yourself? Okay, Sister Suhani.
Saying what Urvashi just said, I absolutely agree with her. I feel like I'm growing every single day. Like I can't like be like, okay, grown till here, and this is what I know about myself. Like I think I have like certain realizations every day, and I finished my 10th exams recently. I started studying a little bit for 11th right now. I love dancing and I love singing. I love being into dramatics. And as I said previously, I consider myself somewhat of a social butterfly. So yeah, that's pretty much it. I have realizations every day. Yesterday I was actually sitting and I was actually looking at some flight timings, international flight timings, and I realized to myself that the time zones that we have, I was seeing a flight that came from New Jersey to New Delhi. So it started at 10:20 p.m. from there and it landed over here at 10:30. And I was like, okay, wait, that's a whole day. But then I realized, no, it's 12 hours of actual time because you cross the time zone. And when I realized that, okay, so the time zone actually doesn't exist, we created the time zone to exist. And with that, I was just sitting and I was thinking, and I realized that we did create everything. I was thinking that nothing actually exists. We created everything. We created the thing that everyone needs to have a name, and we're going to call everyone from that name. We created that. We created countries. We created languages. We created everything. There was nothing. Like the way we started naming things, we started categorizing things. We created it all, and sometimes it just absolutely like leaves me awestruck when I think about it that there is nothing and we've created so much just in our own mind. So yeah, I have realizations every day. Thank you so much.
Thank you, sister.
Brother Babu Patnaik, I really love you so much. Can you just show your handmade Rath Yatra, making up your Rath? And he's doing a very wonderful thing on Kaliya Preme Bandha. So if I request Babu Patnaik, kindly show all your works that you have done at your home, please.
I guess he is not
Brother
there.
Vaibhav? I think very shy.
I think he is not there. Any participants have any questions for the audience, for the speakers? And if anything you want to add, then Taralji?
Hi.
Chinde sir
Nothing.
wanted to say something, I guess.
No, nothing to add. But as usual, I am very much impressed by all the young speakers. You all study so well, each and every subject. And today also it was the same thing. I have heard Smita, Pragyan, Urvashi, and Suhani. It was really wonderful to hear you first time. And you really did well. So just keep on doing things. Don't let this practice of speaking and understanding theosophy let go even for a day, because you have miles to go. We have traveled some miles, but we feel very good that at this young age you have got all these opportunities. So please do grasp all these things, and you all are going to do wonderful things for theosophy. Thank you so much. God bless you. All the best.
Pradeep Uncle, you want to say something?
Brother Dinakaran is there, Professor C.A. Sindhe is there. Let them
Yes.
ask.
Yes, Dinakaranji.
Yes.
We would like to congratulate all the three young speakers. So they expressed things from their heart and some personal experiences also. So I'm very happy to learn that one of the speakers were associated with some other organization, Asman Foundation, or I don't know actually. I think it's an NGO working for slum dwellers. So it's very nice. It is a practical theosophy. We can learn all these principles, philosophy, the philosophy of theosophy, but every day our daily life is the practicing ground for our learning and scholarship. That is what I feel. Because uh, who is going to test us? Who is going to give us credit or something like that? We have to do our own part in this whole scheme of things. It can be small service. It can be service to the, if I use the term used by the speaker, sacrifice to animals, sacrifice to our elders, to teachers, to the whole society. It can be in a humble way also, because the whole world is interconnected, interrelated. The mineral kingdom, plant kingdom, animal kingdom, and human kingdom, these are all closely related. So our sacrifice is necessary, because every moment the world is sacrificing for our comforts. All this atmosphere we live in, these are all part of the sacrifice. So we cannot forget it and live like a greedy person. So all the speakers emphasized these good points. I congratulate them. I appreciate their talk. As Taralji pointed out, they have miles to go in their life. It is nice that they set examples to other fellow theosophies and members in our society. Thank you.
Yes, Sinde sir.
Thank you for everyone. This is really an atmosphere that we create with the young souls. They are young in body, but not in soul. So such souls, when they come together and discuss about the noble thoughts, theosophical teaching, this creates an atmosphere, and we are all are privileged to receive the blessings of the higher ones. So this is the opportunity for all of us to allow the blessings from the great ones to fill us, and the whole nature to bring teachings of the source of life and love. You know, this year we are having a theme for the convention. It is a very good theme. The theme is our responsibility. What is our responsibility? Our responsibility is to be fit to receive the blessings. So our responsibility in the interconnected world. This is the theme of this year's convention. And you people who are young, thinking of such noble ideas of forming the universal brotherhood, you are really creating an atmosphere with innocence, and that innocence attracts the blessings of the higher forces. It is really a privilege to attend such seminars or discussions, or young people, whatever they are speaking from their heart, and we really enjoyed this. Thank you very much for giving me this opportunity to say a few words. Thank you, Pradeep. Thank you, Taralji. Thank you, everyone, young people.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Thank you.
Anybody wants to say anything, share anything, or any question for the speakers?
Yes. Vaibhav video is not working for us.
Vaibhav must be in Mohali today. That's why I think he has left.
No, 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 no. He is in Bhubaneswar.
Acha. Some young people have gone to Mohali, so I thought that the little one has also gone.
Okay. So if nobody has any questions or anything to say, then I think we should close the session. Pradeep Uncle?
Yes.
Asya Purna Sargamaya Tamasoma Jyotirgamaya Mrityurma Amritam Gamaya Sarve Bhavantu Sukhino Sarve Santu Niramaya Sarve Bhadrani Pashyantu Nishchi Dukkha Bhave. Shanti. Thank you, everyone. Thank you for all the speakers, and thank you everyone for joining and making this symposium a successful one. And thank you so much. Thank you, Pradeep Uncle, for helping us. And thank you, Subhralina ji, again for motivating and inspiring these speakers. And thank you. We will meet next Sunday. Anybody wanted to say anything?
I have an advice to Smita Pragya, to you yourself.
Yeah.
Smita Pragya,
Yes, listening.
please take care of your health. You have reduced.